this one and get that away. Good. Hello, everyone. Today I'll be presenting the status update for the second sprint of Ruthless, what I focused on and how it went, and what I'll be focusing on next. I'm recording it prior to the session itself in order to make sure that I can present in a professional format, because otherwise I will be traveling. I hope that is acceptable. On the agenda, we'll therefore first have a quick sprint overview and then a refresh of what Ruthless is, followed by a more in-depth status update and then the next steps for my production. So starting out with our sprint overview, the focus this week was on creating proof of concepts for the most difficult parts of the core feature set. By engaging with the most difficult parts of the design proposed last week, I was hoping to assess what parts are possible, difficult, and impossible. I was also hoping to get a better feel for how the proposed design would play out in practice and what adjustments might need to be made in the future. Overall, I ended up focusing a bunch of my time developing the enemy AI, as this was arguably the aspect I had the least idea on how to engage with. I've also made progress in the form of reworked melee dash, which will be central to the gameplay experience, implemented a prototype for what I call Predator Vision, imported the dialogue system from Impossible Rescue, and created a prototype combat arena in Whitebox. Lastly, I once again revisited the X statement and elevator pitch, as they were not informative nor concise enough. Speaking of statements, here they come in the Raptor refresh. Only havoc will set you free. Awoken and imprisoned in a suit of unknown origins, a young psychiatric patient must fight through an insurgent military complex to earn their freedom. Armed with superhuman mobility, psionic powers, and a volatile AI guide, the tools of destruction are at your fingertips, but only the havoc you wreak will truly set you free. As for my race statement, it has not changed since the last time and still consists of Titanfall 2, Doom 2016, and Dishonored. My core pillars also remain unchanged, with aggressive, diabolical, high-tech gameplay being the essence of Ruthless. So now that we've had a small reminder of what I'm working on, let's dive deeper into what happened this particular sprint. Firstly, the biggest focus was undoubtedly the enemy AI. Uncertain that I would be able to devise a pseudo-intelligent combat AI to complement the run-and-gun gameplay, I set about creating their core behavior set at once. These were taking cover, periodically ducking while in cover, spreading out during combat, aka not stacking on top of other enemies, and chasing the player when they leave vision or weapon range. While there are still quirks to work out in terms of the timing of these behaviors and issues such as animation desyncing, overall the AI is in a solid shape with all intended behaviors implemented. As can be seen on the top right GIF, the enemy will attempt to take cover while outside of cover, and will reposition after delay when exposed. In the bottom GIF can be seen how the AI spread out during combat. Second on my list was the Ghost Flicker Slice. Briefly talked about during the last presentation, the melee was to be reworked from its Call of Duty version into something more aggressive and mobile. The Ghost Flicker Slice is a high-risk, high-reward maneuver which rapidly dashes the player in the direction of their camera, even up or down, and deals damage to all enemies you pass through. For each enemy killed, a percentage of the player's missing health is restored, while if any are killed, all psionic energy is restored. This allows the player to rapidly chain slices together to create high-octane, aggressive gameplay. It's also the player's prime tool for regaining their health. To assist the player, I also looked into highlighting enemies which are executable. As can be seen in both GIFs, in-game and in future presentations as I expand upon this system, I will refer to it as Predator Vision. Last on the gameplay list, I had not figured out how I wanted to deliver dialogue and still haven't fully. However, my solidified idea is certainly subtitles with noise or voice acting. To that end, I imported and adapted our dialogue system from Impossible Rescue into Ruthless, as can be seen on the right. Outsourcing voice acting is currently not a priority, but I may yet go for a hybrid approach where I voice the main character while the companion AI is instead noised in a similar manner to R2-D2. Regardless of my approach, having the subtitle system in and working will be helpful down the line for delivering the narrative and teaching the player how to play the game. And last but not least, I've taken a look at a potential map segment. Here I created a large-scale combat arena, which I've estimated would constitute approximately 25% of a fully completed level. In this combat segment, I've found that a larger scale works better in order to allow for longer sightlines, as well as more freedom of movement. While these sightlines are blocked by the mid-air boxes, these provide the player the possibility for spontaneous wall riding, and can even be reached from the lower levels through the use of side jump and wall-to-wall jumping. Currently, the bottom floor for this map segment is quite plain, with combat intended to take place on the upper echelons. However, should I end up implementing any type of push mechanic, as indicated I want for last week, I'm hoping to litter the bottom floor with hazards, which the player would be able to push enemies down into. Last week, I was also asked how large my scope for levels was. Currently, I'm planning on one level with multiple segments for my MVP. This would consist of an intro area for movement, an intro area for combat, a hazard/parkour section with focus on forward momentum, and this combat arena to finish off the experience. And now for my next steps. For my next sprint, the main priority is the project proposal. To create this, I'll need to outline a production plan, which I can use as reference for the proposal scope, and which I can then start formulating tasks and define sprints from. In addition, I will aim to prove the remaining concepts, which I have not yet addressed, namely the psionic push ability, as well as the shotgun weapon configuration proposed last sprint review. Should I finish these tasks in good time, I will spend the remainder working on a fully playable prototype level. And that concludes the presentation. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to your thoughts.